Welcome to the 15-Minute Drill Podcast, Playoff Edition for Saturday, November 12th, 2016. I'm Walter Johnson, and this is the first round of the playoffs in the Georgia High School Association. So let's get started, starting Class 7A. And the Colquitt County Packers have now won 7 in a row after starting the season 0-4. And the Packers cruise to a convincing 48-7 win over North Paulding, and up in Paulding County, Georgia, about 30 to 45 minutes west-northwest of Atlanta. Final score: Colquitt County 48, North Paulding 7, and Colquitt County will advance to a second round play against Brookwood. And don't have the final score. Brookwood of Gwinnett is Snellville, Georgia, in Gwinnett County. Unfortunately, no final score from that game. But Colquitt County will play Brookwood. And how about this score between Lowndes and Hillgrove out of Cobb County? And then and when the smoke finally cleared, it was Lowndes cruising to a convincing win over Hillgrove, and a high-scoring basketball or arena football-like game. 92-61 was the final score, and Lowndes moves on to the second round in Class 7A as well. And the same, however, unfortunately, cannot be said for the Tift County Blue Devils, when the Blue Devils season came to an end with a 35-7 loss to North Cobb in the first round. And Tift County came in as the number 3 seed out of Region 1-7A, and Tift County season ends at 6 wins and 5 losses, and jumping right down to 6A, and 6A. In opening round action, number 1 seeded Valdosta didn't score quite as many points as their crosstown rivals from Lowndes did, but they still managed to advance with a convincing rout of their own over Lakeside Evans. Final score 69-14, and in fact, it was part of a very good night for Region 1-6A, although one of the teams that won, they had a little bit of a cloud hovering over them, and it was Northside of Warner Robins moving on to the second round with a 52-0 rout over Grovetown, and the Lee County Trojans traveled to Evans, Georgia, in Columbia County, just west of Augusta, and cruised to a 42-0 win, a 41-0, 42-0 win over Evans. And Lee County will face Mays in Metro Atlanta next week. And Mays knocked off Cambridge, eliminated Cambridge in the first round of the 6A playoffs. And Lee County's win came under a cloud of suspicion. And the Albany Herald reports that the Georgia High School Association has ruled 2 of its transfer players from the Dougherty County school system ineligible. Also fined the school $550 for alleged recruiting violations. And in another story, the Albany Herald reported that 7 of its players from 3 different Dougherty County public high schools, 3 schools in the Dougherty County school system, transferred to Lee County just before the start of this season. And another source reports that the Georgia High School Association might make a final ruling on the school board on Lee County's situation, an investigation regarding this illegal recruiting from Dougherty County. Depending on what happens, Lee County might either be forced to forfeit any games, any wins which those players participated in, or and depending on what happens, Lee County's season, and Lee County could either head up to Mays next week with fewer wins than anticipated, or their season could be over altogether. It'll be interesting to see what happens. And Coffee also moved on with a win over Heritage of Conyers up in Conyers, Georgia. Final score 56-24 for Coffee. And moving on to 5A, Region 1 champion Thomas County Central needed a late scooping score to outlast Riverdale 38-26. And Thomas County Central advances to the second round next week, as do the Bainbridge Bearcats, and just took Whitewater out of Fayette County to the woodshed in a 50-12 rout. And Bainbridge, after such a slow start, and I think they were at 1-4 at one point, now evens its record at 5-5. Moving on to the second round next week. And also Warner Robins falls to Griffin in a high-scoring contest. 56-49. Griffin puts an end to Warner Robins' season. And also, there's the final score. Griffin winning a thriller over Warner Robins, 56-49. Griffin now 10-1 on the season. Warner Robins' season ends at 3-8, and that was despite a valiant effort by the Demons and the other team from Houston County in Region 1 5A. The Veterans Warhawks out of Kathleen, Georgia, saw their season come to an end after losing to Stars Mel on the road, 38-17, the final score in that game. Moving on to Class 4A, and the Cairo Syrup Makers have advanced to round 2 as they blasted Baldwin out of Milledgeville, Georgia, 43-2, the final score. And Cairo moves on. And America Sumter is done for the season as the Panthers fell in East Georgia to Thompson. Final score 57-23. Thompson trounces America Sumter, and with a loss, the Panthers end their 2016 season at 5-6. And in Class AAA, and number 1 seeded Crisp County is still undefeated, and the Cougars cruised to a crushing 42-0 win over Islands of Savannah. Islands is located on Tybee Island, or one of those islands just east of Savannah, and right on the Georgia coast. And Crisp County moves on. Crisp County will move on to face Lovett in the second round next week. And Lovett traveled up into the North Georgia mountains into Dawsonville, Georgia. And Lovett rolled past Dawson County 49-28. And that's Lovett out of Atlanta. The Lovett Lions, spell Lovett. And Lovett moves on to the second round of the state playoffs. And the second place team in GHSA Region 1 AAA, the Worth County Rams, move on to round 2 in Class AAA as well, as they stomped Southeast Bullock 35-7, the final score from Sylvester on Friday night. And next up for the Worth County Rams, a trip to Gwinnett County and Norcross, Georgia, to face Greater Atlanta Christian. And Greater Atlanta Christian advanced with a 35-17 win over Pace Academy. And Pace Academy won the state championship in Class AA last season. pounding Fitzgerald a year ago. They've been barely made the playoffs out of Region 5 this season. But Greater Atlanta Christian moves on with a 35-17 victory. And elsewhere, and Cook will travel to Hornets, will be in Savannah tomorrow, later tonight to face Savannah High School. And that's a Saturday contest for Cook out of Adel, Georgia. Long Guy 75. And the number 4 seed out of Region 1 AAA, the Darty Trojans from Albany, saw their season come to an end as they fell to Jenkins of Savannah. In Savannah, 31-14, the final score. And Darty's season ends with just 2 wins against 8 losses. And in the first round in Class AA, from the Region 1 perspective, and Fitzgerald and cruises to round 2 with a 42-7 win over Dublin. And Fitzgerald will be home against Rockmart up in from Northwest Georgia. And that's next week. And the season is over for the Thomasville Bulldogs as they fall at home to Dodge County from Eastman, Georgia, 17-7 the final score. And Dodge County moves on to round 2 of the state playoffs in Class AA. And Thomasville's season comes to an end at 5-5. And the number 3 seed out of Region 1 AA, the Brooks County Trojans out of Quitman, Georgia, traveled to the Mid-State to face Southwest Macon. And Brooks County escaped with a 20-13 win. And Brooks County will be back at it next week in the second round. And finally, the number 4 team out of Region 1 AA, Berrien, saw their season come to an end. And Washington County won 49-22 over Berrien. And Berrien's season finishes at 4-6. And 4-6. And Berrien's 2016 season has come to an end. And in the opening round of the Single A playoffs, going rather quickly, the Terrell County Greenways fell at home to Turner County, and Turner County from Ashburn, Georgia, won easily 41-6. And Camilla, the Mitchell County Eagles, will move on to round 2 as they roll past Randolph Clay 46-14. And in Colquitt, Georgia, the Miller County Pirates held on to edge Bowden 29-26. And in Vienna, Georgia, Irwin County drilled Dooley County 42-0. And seeing Mitchell County with a win over Randolph Clay will travel to Greene County next week. Actually, Greene County rolled past Wheeler County in convincing fashion, 49-7 the final score. And Greene County will head down to Southwest Georgia to take on the Region 1 Single A champion Pelham Hornets, who had a first round bye. And Mitchell County, with the 46-14 win over Randolph Clay, will travel to Clinch County next week. And Clinch County also had a first round bye. And finally, in the GISA state playoffs, the Deerfield Windsor Knights saw their season come to an end in heartbreaking fashion. And the Gatewood Gators out of Eatonton, Georgia, came from behind in the final minute, the final seconds, to defeat the Knights 17-13 with the loss. Deerfield Windsor's season ended at 8-5. And Valwood, from just outside of Valdosta, also lost a heartbreaker to John Millage, 20-13, the final score there. And that's going to conclude this edition of the 15-Minute Drill Podcast for Friday, November 12th, 2016. Remember, you can follow on Twitter, SWJ Network, and you can also listen to previous podcasts. Have a good weekend. Thank you for listening.